Hey everybody, good to have you back for another video. Today we'll be removing the front air dam on my 2019 Chevy Silverado. Some of you might call it a Valance, and its purpose is to improve aerodynamics and thusly fuel economy. But in my opinion, it makes the truck look like it's sitting way too low and doesn't complement the front end's aggressive look. I personally had a lot of hesitation removing a feature on my truck that improves gas mileage, but after some research, I decided that if trail bosses don't come with one and they're only getting 3 mpg on the highway worse than I am, and they also come with a 2-inch factory lift and bigger tires, then I don't think just removing an air dam will affect my mileage very much. It's also very easy to put back on, so there's no harm in taking it off for a while to see if I notice that much of a difference. Let's get started. The first thing you will need is a 7mm socket. I used a drill with an extension to help removal go faster, but you will still need a socket wrench for 2 of the bolts and for tightening everything back up for storage. But more on that later. In this video, I will show you a way to get this mod done quickly, but if you really want to remove all the parts related to this air dam, you will also need a small tool with a small pointy metal end. I went with this woodworking awl, but a small Phillips screwdriver will also work. I'm going to be using these vehicle ramps for this project, but you shouldn't need to. The main reason I'm using them is to get some more space for better camera angles. But if you've never used a set of vehicle ramps before, here are a couple good things to know. First, you will want to make sure your ramps are in contact with both tires at the same time and that they are centered with the tires. It's also good to be on a rougher surface like asphalt or concrete. I've used these ramps before on a painted garage floor, and they can move on you when you're trying to drive onto them. I strongly recommend having someone spotting you the first few times you try this. Poor alignment could cause you to drive off the sides of the ramps, or not knowing when to stop could cause you to drive off the end of them. Either way, the result could be damage to your truck and fighting with a jack to get your truck back on its own tires. Putting your truck in 4-wheel low will help with tires from spinning and slow everything down while you're driving onto the ramps. You really want to go easy on the gas and be ready with the brake once you reach the top of the ramp. Once you reach the top of the ramp, put the truck in park and activate the electronic parking brake. Just an extra step to ensure the truck doesn't come rolling down the ramps while you're under it. I really like this set of ramps for their shallow incline angle and for the large lip at the end of the ramp. My previous ramps had a more aggressive angle to them, and not only did that make it harder to climb, but I also came across some clearance issues with a few cars I worked on. Alright, once you're under your truck, you will see the 12 bolts with 7mm heads that you will have to remove. 10 of the bolts have their threads facing up, and 2 of the bolts on the ends of the air dam have their threads facing down. All of the bolts and clips are identical. You can interchange them later, so don't worry about keeping them straight. When I first looked under the truck, I thought these 10mm bolts were also attaching the air dam to the truck. However, after closer inspection, they are attaching the plastic that the air dam mounts to the frame. So leave all of those 10mm bolts alone for this project. Using a drill or impact to remove the bolts is fine, but if you decide to reattach the air dam down the road, be sure to finger tighten the bolts to make sure your threads are lined up correctly, and then use a wrench to tighten to prevent over tightening with a power tool. The tabs you are threading into are thin metal. It wouldn't take much to strip them out. Once all the bolts have been removed, you can remove the air dam. Note that the ends of the air dam have small plastic alignment pins, so make sure you pull the ends of the air dam out first. The entire air dam slides out easily with a pull towards the rear of the truck. You can see that the metal tabs the bolts threaded into will stay behind. They will require some extra work to remove. If you want to finish this project quickly, you can thread the bolts back into the tabs and tighten them with the socket wrench. This will keep the metal tab from ever falling out, plus keep you from losing your bolts if you ever want to put your air dam back on. Also note that the tabs on the ends of the air dam came off with it, so you will need to keep at least 2 bolts with the air dam regardless of if you want to keep going with the full removal of parts. I put a couple bolts back into their metal tabs and looked at my truck, and I didn't like the way the bolt heads were interfering with that new line under the front bumper of my truck. So I decided to continue with this project and remove all of the tabs that are attached to the truck. As you can see in this clip, the metal tabs have a small mini tab that rests inside the hole of the plastic where the metal tab is mounted to. You will need to use your sharp metal tool to pull down that mini tab and then push away from the front of the vehicle. If the metal tab doesn't move, use the pliers to help pull the metal tab off of the plastic. When you have the metal tabs removed, I recommend you put them back on your now removed air dam for safekeeping. You should also tighten the bolts through the tabs to keep anything from getting lost. After I finished removing all the tabs, I drove my truck slowly off of the ramps and then took the truck out of four-wheel low. I'm curious as to how much this will affect my mileage, so in support of this channel, I will reset my trip and leave it alone for the next 4,000 miles. It took me about 5 months to get the first 4,000 miles, so make sure to subscribe, and I will give you an update by January of 2020. Alright, big reveal moment. And boom. I think it looks great. The fuel economy loss is going to have to be pretty noticeable for me to put that air dam back on. I live and work in town, so most of my miles are city miles, so the minor loss in aerodynamics will likely not even be noticeable to me. The only type of driver this might actually impact would be the kind who make long commutes at high speeds every day. But even still, your truck looks awesome now. So, YOLO or something. Thank you guys a ton for watching this video. If you found it helpful, please hit the like and subscribe buttons to keep up with the channel. I will be making more videos for any mods I do to my truck, so hitting those two buttons does help support the channel and helps it grow. I already have a few more ideas in the works, so join the community, and I will see you in the next video.